Hello and welcome to our 76th episode of Fur, Fins, and Feathers. Believe it or not, but we're doing very well, and our readership is spreading rapidly throughout the country. Today we've got two special guests. We have Diane Farias from Swansea, a longtime neighbor.
Yes, longtime neighbor.
And Mira Allen from Barrington, Rhode Island, who is very actively involved in horsemanship. Both of you, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mira, how did you get involved in horses?
As long as I can remember, I've always wanted to ride when I was a little kid. Both sides of my family, my dad and his sister both grew up riding on a horse farm. My mom's sister also grew up riding, so that was always something that I knew about, and I asked, and finally, when I was 9 years old, my parents let me start lessons.
And Diane, how did you start?
I always wanted to ride horses when I was little. My very first horse ride was my aunt reminded me that when she was babysitting me one time, she took me and put me in a pony ride. And that was my very first horseback ride. I did not really ride. I rode a little bit when I was a teenager, but as an adult, I got involved with horseback riding again when I went to see a couple of friends of mine in their riding lesson, and I thought, you know what? I want to ride too, and I started taking lessons from that time forward. They stopped riding and I kept going, and that was close to 25 years ago.
Now, both of you are participate at Windswept Farms in Warren.
Yes.
Tell us about what happens at the farm.
It's a 30 horses. We have 30 horses on the facility. I couldn't tell you the percentage of boarding against teaching horses. It's about even.
It's about even. There's
Yeah.
a couple more boarders than
Right.
lesson
So there are a
horses.
lot of boarders and a lot of lesson horses. Michaela Scanlon is the proprietor. She is a lifelong rider, and she has her dressage bronze and silver medals. She has a wealth of knowledge. She's gleaned over 40 years in the business. So she manages.
And she also teaches in the equine
teaches
program at Brown University.
She does. She is the coach for the equine program at Brown University, and has been that for a good long time. I'm going to hazard a guess and say about 15 years. She teaches every level. She teaches beginners right up through seniors, and every level. She teaches both hunt seat or balanced seat riding, as well as dressage. So she's very well-rounded and very knowledgeable. Mira and I both teach. I teach the little kids, and I absolutely love it. I've been doing it almost a year now, and it's very gratifying. To take a child who has wanted to ride their whole life, they've dreamt about this, and I get the gift of being able to put them on the horse for the first time and get them around the ring, and the look of happiness is just incomparable.
How can children start with horses?
With horses, the best thing for a parent to do is to look locally online. The internet is a wealth of knowledge, good knowledge and not so good. So you really have to, once you develop a relationship with an instructor, is to always, if you've read something on the internet that you're curious about, always run it by your instructor for clarification. Because what you don't know sometimes what you don't know in any field, but horses in particular. So to get started, you would interview or call local facilities, ask what kind of lessons they offer, what discipline of riding they offer, because there are numerous disciplines. There's dressage, there is hunt seat, there is western, there is saddle seat. So you have to kind of get an idea of what the child wants to do. Ask permission to come to the farm and see the facility, see the horses, possibly also observe a lesson. That will give the child and the parent an idea of what it's all about. I mean, to have a child say, oh, I want to take riding lessons, or oh, I want to go ride a horse, the parents may know absolutely nothing about a horse other than it has a leg on each corner. So
that would be me.
Well, that's okay, Brian. We'll teach you what you need to know. So it's a good experience to go and see a few facilities and kind of get an idea of what you like, what type of teaching, what type of approach that you like. Typically with beginners, they need a one-on-one instruction because they know absolutely nothing. When you start a young child riding, you can see references that will talk about starting at the age of 4, which I think is a little too young. They need to have a certain degree of physical capability. They need to have balance. They need to be able to, if you're questioning whether or not they have enough balance, can they ride a bike? Can they throw a ball? Can they kick a ball? Do they fall over their own 2 feet all the time? You might want to wait till the child's a little bit older. Can they pay attention? Lessons last 30, depending on the facility, 30 to 45 minutes. And during that period of time, they're expected to tack up a horse, help tack up the horse, lead the horse, get on the horse safely, and ride and listen closely to the instructor's teaching. And that can be going on while there are other lessons going on in the ring. So if you have a child who can't focus, you might want to wait till a little bit older, or try it. You can give it a try. This may be the impetus for the child to really learn to focus and be able to pay attention and stick with a task. We have some kids that are like that are growing in that capability. This all develops as it's a wonderful way for a kid to develop those skills. What else?
I would say same thing.
Yes, Mira, add to it.
Safety is a big issue. Your
Yep.
child has to be able to listen, because obviously there are a lot of rules like no running, you can't go behind the horse, and if your child isn't listening to that, then it can end up horses startle easily. You want your child to be able to listen and be safe around the animals. I would also say, if it's something that you want your child to do, but they might not want to or might be afraid to, it's really hard on them if you push them really hard to do it. So make sure it's something that your child wants to do, and make sure it's something that they're excited to do, because
It's for the child,
Correct.
not for the parent.
Correct.
if they're afraid and if they don't want to be there, and especially if the parent is pushing them really hard or putting a lot of pressure on them, it oftentimes ends up in progress being reversed, or the child just simply doesn't enjoy being there.
Or getting hurt.
Yeah.
Horses can be intimidating for a lot
They
of
can
little
be
kids.
intimidating for a lot of big people too. One of the things I've noticed is that the more anxiety the parent is about being around the horse or having the child on a horse, the more nervous the child is. So I encourage parents to watch lessons, but I also encourage them to sit down and listen and watch quietly. Because the last thing we need is to have someone coaching from the sidelines. So it can be an interesting activity.
It's like coaching junior showmanship.
That's correct.
For me as a judge.
There you go.
The parents need to be in the background.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. Because this is really the child's activity. We've had some parents who actually have become interested in riding themselves. So that's a lot of fun too.
Talk about some of the other activities.
Mira touched on safety. And what I said about safety is, sorry, I have my crib notes. I just had to have them. Safety is for the rider and the horse. So the behaviors in the barn, kids are excited. They're learning something new. They're in a new place. There's a lot of exciting things to see. And sometimes they can't contain themselves. And that's part of the learning process, is learning how to be around horses, how to move quietly, how to move carefully, how to take cues from the horse's behavior. And this is all something that the instructor teaches, which is why we do the one-on-one when they're very new, so that they learn much of that before they're allowed to be around the horse by themselves, tack up by themselves, and even get on the horse by themselves and prepare for their lesson. The other thing I mentioned was the internet. As I said, the internet is a wealth of information. I was actually boning up this morning, and a couple of the websites I saw, in particular, I really liked equisearch.com. They have videos about cross-tying a horse, which is what you do.
What was that again?
Cross-tying a horse. Cross-tying, I will explain. So when you take a horse out of its stall to tack it up,
Yeah.
you often put them on cross ties, very similar to when you groom a dog and you put it on a
Okay.
table. Something like that, except that there are two lines, one to each side of the horse's halter. And it keeps the horse still while you're tacking. So there was a very good, that equisearch.com had a very good YouTube video, actually, on cross tying and safety. I thought it was excellent. There was another one on hoof picking that I didn't see the whole thing, but that was also very good. So if they want to learn, it's good for the parents to watch these things casually so they understand what the child is doing. Active for Life was also a very good website that I looked at. It not only discussed horses and horseback riding for kids, it also talked about other sports and the parallel between horseback riding and those sports, which I thought was pretty good. I looked at it quickly, and I thought that would be a very good site to look at too. There's also a book that I looked at that I thought would be very good. It's called A Parent's Guide to Riding Lessons by Elise Gaston Chand, C-H-A-N-D. It's available on Amazon.
And I'm sure we could get it at the Swansea Library.
And I'll bet we could. Because you might be able to help us out with that.
I think I could.
Okay, yeah.
Riding can be an expensive hobby for families.
It can be an expensive hobby. It depends on what you want to do. In the beginning, I have a very keep it simple attitude with the basic things that they need. The basic thing is a helmet and shoes with a heel. Doesn't have to be riding boots if they want to progress to riding boots. If the kid's been riding for 3 or 4 months and things are going well and they want to continue, then you can invest in a pair of riding boots. You can get a pair of paddock boots, which are a low boot that has laces or a zipper. On Amazon, they go anywhere from $40 to $100, depending upon what type you want to get. Always consult with your instructor.
Oftentimes also, if you're just trying out riding lessons for your child, the barns will have loaner equipment that you can borrow for the first couple lessons.
Loaner equipment.
Yeah, until you know that you want to continue with it. So also most of the time they provide horse equipment as well. The only thing you would need to buy is stuff for your child or for yourself, and you want to also wear long pants to prevent your legs from rubbing against the tack.
Right, and I think inexpensive riding pants, if you've gone a few months and you've decided that riding is something you want to do, are a little more flexible than jeans. Tights are a little bit better because you're more flexible. Your legs aren't getting bound up in the denim, and so that you're more comfortable.
Now, do you own a horse?
I do not. I lease a horse.
You lease a horse?
Yes. So.
And you?
I own.
You own. Could you talk about, Diane, what kind of work do you have to do to get the horse ready?
Well, I mean, there's an old saying that is, it's not the purchase of the horse that's the problem, it's the maintenance.
What is your horse's name?
My horse's name is Kirby.
Kirby?
Kirby. He is a 14 one-hand pony. He is a large pony, which is appropriate for adult riding. I'm only 5 feet tall, so we make a pretty good pair. He is a Palomino.
Handsome?
I think he's very handsome, but I'm biased. We do dressage. That is our style of riding. I like it very much. I like the intricacies of it, and the discipline. Of course, there's discipline in every form of riding, but I particularly like dressage, and he seems to also. We're hoping to compete this summer. We hope. We're praying. With COVID gone now, we're hoping that we can get off the farm.
And where do you
compete.
participate?
There is a place in a wonderful facility in Lakeville, Beelan.
Yeah, I don't know.
There are some nice horse farms in Lakeville.
Yes, Beelan Farm in particular puts on a wonderful format dressage show. They're going
What is dressage?
Dressage, the French word for training is dressage. So if you look at it in the broadest sense of the word, any training that you're doing with a horse is dressage. Dressage, when you see them in the Olympics, when you see them in the arena with the letters are used as markers to determine the figures that you're going to ride and the movements that you're going to do, and they're done in a very particular pattern. There's a particular way of riding that is a more upright position as opposed to hunt seat, which is a little bit forward, more forward than dressage. And the leg is usually a little bit longer in the saddle than in hunt seat. And it is dressage actually. When you see the old paintings of the war horses doing their rearing and kicking out, those are dressage moves. The horses were taught those things as evasive measures in the battlefield. And the Spanish school, if you ever get to watch anything on YouTube or even get to see them, the Lipizaners, they are doing the high school. They are doing the highest level of dressage. They're collected in their form. They have amazing gaits, and they do all of these high school activities or high school movements that would be reminiscent of the war horse activities.
Most people describe it as horse dancing to someone
Yes,
who
exactly,
who
horse
doesn't know.
dancing. The first time I watched a dressage test on television, I was so taken away, I was almost in tears. The horse was dancing, and I have to learn how to do that.
Fascinating.
It is fascinating.
You go out to the barn every day, don't you?
Just about every day now that I'm happily retired, yes. The good thing about Windswept Farm is that it's a full care facility. If you cannot be there, the horses are cared for, they're fed, they're watered, they're observed for their health. They're turned out on a daily basis. Michaela knows every single horse in that barn and their habits. So if you can't be there for some reason on a given day, your horse is well cared for.
And when you are out there, what do you do?
When I do, I brush him, check him over every inch of his little body, pick his feet, which is you lift up their foot, hold it in a particular fashion, and clean out the foot to make sure that they haven't picked up a stone or
There's no debris.
No debris. Make sure that their shoes are on tight because sometimes they get loose in the field, running around if they're running around being silly in the field. I tack him up with my wonderful dressage saddle, and I ride him. And we do probably, depending upon the day, an hour, 45 minutes to an hour of a workout.
How long have you owned him?
I've had Kirby for 11 years. He came home on New Year's Eve. He was my New Year's Eve baby.
Talk about the bond between the owner and the horse.
That's the best part of all, I think. Riding is wonderful. I absolutely love it. Teaching is wonderful. I absolutely love it. But the bond between myself and my horse is just a most wonderful thing. He greets me at the stall door when I come in. He gives me hugs, which is pretty funny. You can teach a horse to hug, but what he actually does, and some of the horsemen would be horrified to hear this, but he'll actually put his chin on my shoulder and snuggle me, which I like. Some other people would not like that, but I like it. I feel we're a good team together. He understands my cues, and we just get along great.
Do you have a special horse?
Yes, so
Yes, she does.
right now I'm riding a horse named Pirate. He's an off-the-track thoroughbred, so what that means is he was a racehorse, and he raced...
Where did he race?
I'm not sure. He came from New York, I believe.
Okay.
But he could have raced all over. They bring them, they travel. He probably was in New England. He was probably near here, but they travel all over. And after he retired from that, he went to a rescue, like a retraining facility, and they put, they put someone on his back, and they do a little bit of retraining because racehorses are trained very, very differently from our normal riding horses. So he wasn't used to having people on him asking him to do anything other than run. So they put a little bit of training on him, and then they find a home for him. So he made his way to Michaela, who bought him in with the purpose of retraining him to be a lesson horse for her program. And now I'm riding him, and I ride him 6 days a week. He has a lot of energy.
What color is he?
He's a chestnut, so he is light brown with a light brown mane and tail.
Nice.
He's beautiful, and she does an amazing job with him. He has progressed so much since he's
How old
come
is
to the
Pirate?
farm.
He just turned 9, so he's 9 this year.
So he's relatively young.
Yep.
Yeah, he raced for a long time. He raced until he was 8 years old. Thoroughbreds race from anywhere. They'll do like one race and end at 2, and they go all the way till about 8 years old. 9 years old is the latest they would race. But that breed has a lot of energy, and they're bred to be very people-pleasing, and so they're also very versatile. So you can retrain them to do dressage, you can retrain them to jump, you can retrain them to do Western, they can do anything. So I really enjoy working with them, and he's got a lot of energy. I ride him every day, but it's really worth it because
After school and weekends?
Yep. Every day I go straight to the barn from school, and then I work some afternoons, and other afternoons I just ride, but I will work and then I will ride and groom him. I work on his training on the ground as well. So racehorses aren't really trained to interact with people very safely because all of the effort is putting into making them run. So he has to learn how to behave next to people. If something scares him, he can't run into me. He can't run away. He has to stand still. He can't bite. He can't kick. He's got to be polite. And
how is his behavior?
He's pretty good. He does not like to be groomed. There's an old kind of wives' tale about chestnut horses, which is his color. They don't like to be touched. They're very sensitive. They have very sensitive skin. So he does not like to be groomed, but he's very snuggly. He likes his face to be rubbed. He likes to follow me around. He's very sweet otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
A fun thing to ask both of you. What do you give them for treats?
Oh, boy.
Anything.
Kirby likes bananas.
Really?
I found this out one day when I was eating a banana in the summertime, and I was standing in the doorway of his stall eating a banana and talking to friends, and all of a sudden his little nose came over my shoulder and poof, he stole the banana right out of my hand, which I thought was very peculiar because I had no idea that a horse would like bananas. But I've subsequently found out that a lot of the horses in the barn like bananas. They're also good for them. I got a little nervous because it was peculiar that a horse would like a banana because they like apples and carrots and sugar cubes and all sorts of peppermints and things like that. But I was a little nervous about the banana thing, so I looked it up on the Google College, and lo and behold, there are some racetracks that actually feed them bananas, a lot of bananas, or not a lot, but a certain number of bananas a day because it's soothing to the stomach. And I thought, well, darn, he knows what he wants.
And what do you give your guy?
Pirate, I'll give him.
Pirate, what does he like?
He likes anything. Most racehorses don't get a lot of treats, so he was kind of new to that when he came to our barn, but he loves peppermints. He just learned what the crinkle of the peppermint wrapper means, so if I have something like crinkly in a package, he'll come over and stick his nose in. Yep, he's very nosy. But yeah, I don't feed a lot of treats because I don't want to encourage him to be nibbly or nosy, but he likes peppermints, horse treats. Some of the girls at the barn will bake horse treats, from molasses and horse grain and stuff, so he'll pretty much eat anything I put in front of him.
Do you have a lot of people who come to the barn to ride?
Yeah, the great thing about our barn is it's an excellent atmosphere. Michaela's really welcoming to everyone, so all of the high school and middle school girls who take lessons, they also come and work, they come and help out, all of their friends are there. It's an amazing atmosphere because it encourages you to come to the barn, put in the hard work, and there's a lot of reward from it. But you also, like my best friend, all through middle school and high school, I met her through the barn. All my closest friends I spend every day with them there, so it's really
very family oriented.
Yeah, it's really like a big family.
I noticed you both mentioned women. Do any guys participate?
Not as many as we'd like to see. It seems
Why
to
is
be.
that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's genetics or what, but it seems that women, girls, seem to be drawn more to horses than boys are, and I don't know why. I do have one boy who rides, and he does a very nice job. He's new, so he's just learning the ropes, and he's a nice young man, and I hope he stays with it. His sister rides with me too. So there's a little competition between them to see who's going to do better. I used to have them share a lesson, but I decided to separate them because they were competing with themselves and not really gaining from the lesson as much as I had hoped they would. So when we separated them so that I have their full attention for the whole lesson, they're doing much better.
I think there's a lot of expectation of boys that riding is a girl's sport, and they want a lot of expectation to do football and kind of more boy sports. So it's really,
I judge junior showmanship for the AKC,
Right.
and they're trying to change things because we have many young ladies who participate in
Right.
sport and the dogs and everything, and in similar activities. We can't get any guys anymore.
I don't know what that's about. I like, as Mira said, I think that they're more encouraged to participate in group sports and football and the more aggressive or more active or whatever you want to call it kind of sports. But we have two young men right now and another adult
there's
male
some adults
who takes lessons too. So 3 that I can think of off the top of my head.
It's a good hobby that could lead to becoming a veterinarian.
A veterinary tech, animal massage. There are all sorts of modalities that can keep you involved with horses, not just veterinary medicine.
And you learn a lot too. Some of the boys who grew up ended up like the work you do on the farm. I mean, for everybody, not just boys, but you learn a lot, and it's a lot of people kind of find that they want, like, what they want to do.
They want to work with their hands.
Yeah.
They want to be carpenters, or they want to be.
They could become farriers.
They could become farriers. We haven't had that happen yet. We have seen. I've been with that facility for close to 25 years, and I have seen several generations of young ladies and men grow up, go to school, go on to college. I think there are 4 veterinarians, and 1 is in school now, so that'll be 5, maybe 6. What are you going after for school?
I'm gonna do something in science, animal science.
Animal science. So we have another
Would you
animal
like
person.
to pursue that?
Yes, I don't.
Would you like to be a veterinarian?
I don't know if I want to be a veterinarian yet, but definitely something in environmental science, animal science, earth science, agriculture. I don't know, something.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm being told that we are coming to an end. So that means, and this has been fascinating, that you ladies are going to be you are being asked to come back.
Oh boy. Maybe we can bring the pony next time, huh?
Yeah, do you think it'll
Maybe
fit?
during the summer you come back for another round.
There you go.
It's been a pleasure. We
Thank you,
really
Brian.
had a wonderful time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.